And I felt like it's not you, it's me instead. Hey, I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna lead a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a... Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. Yeah, lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Got up in the morning, took a shot of Ciroc. And girl, you left my stomach in a knot. Took my lighter and you burned the bridge. Thought you was a writer, no, you just an idol. You got me feeling like Big Sean in this 5, 4, 3, 2. I deserve a minute, wait a minute. Gotta get up and over, regain my composure. No longer my lover, finally finished and you did it. Girl, you really showed me, think with your heart, don't think with your body, clever. Sorry not sorry, sorry not Justin Timberlake, write me a river. Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. You tried to convince me it was all in my head, and I felt like it's not you, it's me instead. Hey, I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna lead a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a... Lately I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. Yeah.
Yes, global greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Detopiks live here on Real Entertainment Network. Want to say good evening to Oli and Layamiga. Also want to say good evening to the entire Eastern Caribbean and wherever you are around the world, locked into us here on Real Entertainment Network, whether you're in England, America, Canada, China, Taiwan, Russia, Spain, Antarctica, Greece, Panama. It doesn't matter where you are. We are really, truly happy to have you logged in with us here on Real Entertainment Network. Programming is streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV. we want to encourage you to log in with us on the YouTube channel. So follow us on YouTube, go to the YouTube channel, look for Real Entertainment Network, like and share our platform. I want to say, a very special welcome to all of our usual listeners and also for those who are tuning in for the first time. It's a pleasure having you here on this edition of the Topics. I want to say a very special good evening to my other guests this evening, and we will say good evening to Mrs. Maloney Nisbet, and we will say good evening to Ras Banki Shabazz King, who are here with us this evening for another very interesting edition of the Topics. So we look forward to an engaging conversation, and I want you, the listening public, to make your comments, especially via the YouTube platform. We're really encouraging you to, be a part of it and make your comments. And you can call in and be a part of the program. We have our topics that we want to put on the table, but we also want to hear from you as well. So if you have something on your mind that you want to share as well, you can also put it in the comment, and we will address it as well. Here on this platform, we do pay attention to the comments, and we do seek to respond to the comments as much as possible. So we do have, have and had a lot going on this week, and we're here again this week with another edition, and so we are looking forward to engage you on some of the topics that we think are of interest and importance and significance. And so as we roll on, we are going to begin with the lady first. We are going to give that sort of privilege to the lady right here, because we're still around. There's a gentleman, but we say soldiers and kings. We're still around, so we look after the empresses. So good evening, Janet, and welcome to the platform. You get a chance to give your opening statements, and then we get into Banky doing his introduction, and then we get into the topics.
Good evening, everyone, all the viewers globally. Shy, I hope you don't mind me calling you Shy. I have to get accustomed to your new name or your, right? I know you're as Shy from school days, and good night, Banky. Shy, I didn't get a response from you. But
Good evening.
okay.
Good evening. Good evening. Like I say, I don't stress it, but you'll work with it. It's just funny to me sometimes, because I've thrown that name away so long ago. Right? So sometimes when I do hear it, it's like, hey, you gotta be somebody who know me from school or way back. But
it had to be
let's work
somebody
with
who
it.
know you from back then, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Thanks for
no
the
problem.
privilege.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the privilege once again. I'm so happy for the opportunity to be here another night. Okay, let me just give my brief intro. I'm going to talk about caring for persons who might be going through, let me say, in all simplicity, a lot. Just, I think 2 days ago, I wrote a post concerning, make an analogy to my rose tree. I love roses, and I had some planted, one survived. And that rose tree was blossoming, branching out, looking so beautiful. Then came the goats and some sheep and ate the rose tree down. I look out, I'm like, what is going on here? The rose tree that was once blossoming looks stark. But I said I can compare it to life, in that sometimes you would have been through the storms, and then you start to blossom, and then come someone or something to eat at your branches, and can leave you feeling barren, desolate, lonely, hurt. And there are so many persons in our community that are hurting because of one reason or the other. So that is what I'm going to be talking about a little tonight, about caring for those, taking some time to care for those persons who might be hurting in our community, showing some empathy, and we help each other to blossom. And so I think I would have said a mouthful, so I'll leave it for now until later.
All right, wonderful. Now it's time to introduce the next king now on the platform. Banky, greetings.
Yes, greetings and good evening, Yason. Good evening, Cindy, and good evening to those who tune in, who are listening on Twitch, on Facebook, or those on YouTube. You're encouraged to go over to YouTube because somehow YouTube seems to be erasing the shows off of
You
deleting
mean
it off of
Facebook?
Facebook. So yes, so best to go to YouTube, at least where they are saved. So good evening to the folks. This is the sound of my voice in Oli and La Amiga. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in on this another Tuesday evening. There are other shows going on and you choose to be listening to us, which means you have a lot of interest when it comes to sustaining yourself, when it comes to agriculture, what's going on within the community, the different topics and stuff like that, because it's very important to be informed. So good evening to the folks in the neighboring islands, Saban Station, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the BVI, folks over in Montserrat, also the folks over in Antigua and Barbuda, and the folks over in Bermuda. Now we have folks who are listening in Bermuda, now they are here living on the island. So it shows that now they are home here in Nevis and not listening in Bermuda, now they're here. So it's a beautiful thing. They already come and visited, already seen one of them come visit the farm and get some stuff already. So it shows that we have people living, just following us wherever they're at Yason, and when they do come on the island, they come and look for me and stuff like that, and appreciate what I'm doing. So good evening to the folks in the diaspora, North America and up to Canada and all the way over in Europe and Africa and over in Asia and wherever you're at to the sound of my voice. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Topiks on this Tuesday evening. And also remember to share the link and encourage others to listen where you know it's educational, it's just to be informed. Sometimes you might get heated sometimes, but everything is just all about being respectful and stuff like that. So my part will be along with some of Yason topics. So I'll just always want to include the tariffs with what's going on around the world with all these trade wars and stuff like that they come to, which means everything there is around us will go up. And also the importance of food security and the 2030 agenda, which had moved from 2025. So that's where I'm going to deal with this evening, along with some of Yason topics, which will be appropriate also. Yason?
Yes, and yeah, I do look forward to a number of discussions this evening. I think we there's so much to really put on the table. I think what I'm gonna do, I am going to let Cindy start with her topic, so that at least a lot of the other things, we don't get distracted and get all shrouded, and don't really get to put that into proper perspective, because I think it is a very important topic as well. Sometimes in our society, I find that a lot of the times we I don't know. There's sometimes seemingly the feeling that we're almost always in campaign mode. And so a lot of the times the topics and discussions are centered around the local politics a lot of the time. And that's sometimes what a lot of our people, tend to gravitate towards a lot. We want to be able to also put a lot of different topics out there. Sometimes they're real important topics, might not be, the political topics and what people may consider as the hot topics of the day, but we do have to really zoom in on some of these things, because there are things that truly affect our society. And so let me allow Cindy to introduce that aspect of the topic, and then we move on from there. So Cindy, I'll give you the floor to get into your topic.
Okay, thank you very much. Briefly, I will talk about a group of people that probably are overlooked, or we don't realize that the stress that they have to endure on a daily basis. And those are persons in our community that are looking after their elderly. Could be their mom or their father. Just weeks ago, a co-worker of mine came to my office and she was telling me what she had to go through on a daily basis looking after her elderly mom. It's almost like taking care of an adult baby, right? Having to cook and wash and clean your mom, change her, then go back home and cook and clean. Sometimes you have to end up feeding these elderly people, and that can be stressful. And I want to just say, big up those persons, encourage them, those who are going through that, taking so much. I often hear people say we might not understand it. I have another friend who will call and say many times during the night her elderly mother might get up calling her, want to know where she is. Sometimes it's sleepless night because, like I say, you almost like you're looking after an adult baby. So I just want to give encouragement to those persons who are there looking after the elderly parents. You might feel, or even some other family member, or even some member in your community. I know that it's a tough job, and I know sometimes you feel as if people don't understand what you're going through. You have to do that, and then you still have to go to work. Sometimes you're economically challenged because then you have to buy Pampers, sometimes medications, sometimes special food because some of your the persons that you're looking after may not eat certain things. And so, for those of you who care enough and are dedicating yourself to that task, I just want to say how proud of you I am and that you're doing a good job and that you're loved and cherished and that one day that life will give you back some of what you're given to our elders in the community. So I'll stay here for now. Yason.
Okay, and I think that's a very interesting topic as well because we have moved to a society, we have seemingly slowly becoming a society where once ago that was the norm because we did not have a lot of the elderly care homes and facilities and so on like we do now. And so, even though it might have seemed that the task is daunting, and I can relate because I spent a lot of time. My grandmother, I grew up with my mother looking after my grandmother and helping to look after my grandmother as well. And so I know a lot of what you're talking about, and when they reach a certain stage where, they dementia and so on, and they don't remember, and I mean, it can be really rough, but uh, we have to understand sometimes as well as a people too, that we were not born the way we are. And at one point, we were children too. And these people, if who we are calling these people, if they did not take care of us, we would not be sorry where we are today. And so we have to, sometimes be able to look back and think like that. And I think a lot more of our people need to be able to have that sort of introspection, um, and really take a look at life and analyze life from that perspective and realize like Bob Marley saying in his song, the biggest man or the baddest man was once a baby in this life. And when you start to think of that, you realize and then there's the biblical once a man, twice a child. And I guess that is the concept because when you were a little child, you were in that same stage where you couldn't do certain things for yourself. And then when you get to that stage again in life, you're at that stage where you're unable to do a lot of things for yourself. But the difference is you're more conscious and older and so on. And so it makes it even more challenging because you're not dealing with a child, even though they're performing or maybe behaving in a particular way. You still have to still balance out and realize that but it's a big man I'm dealing with and they may have their ways and but I still have to learn now how to cope with this. But it is something that we should treasure because I treasured those times with my grandmother. It was tough sometimes, but um, it helps. And I think that a lot more of us should treasure those opportunities, even though it may be tough. I want a lot more of our people to really reflect and realize that we should be looking and we should feel honor and pride in looking after our elder, whether it's our mother, our grandmother, our aunt, our great aunt, whatever little that we can do. Because sometimes a lot of us do, I mean, we when they're gone is when we want to say all of this, but when they're there, you're not able to do these things, and you could have done these things, So share those moments, and I really want to encourage a lot more of our people to do more of these things. It's tough, yes, trust me, it's not easy. Because sometimes, I mean, I've seen, cases. So the other thing too, even those people who are in the elderly homes and so on, who do take care of these people, I really have to tip my hats to these people as well, because it takes a special mindset to be able to cope with some of what you have to go through
Yes.
dealing with the elderly and at that stage. And so I give thanks. Banky, you can weigh in your opinion on that as well.
Yes, I must agree with you and Cindy. I mean, definitely, we got to remember, is we're taking care of ourselves. And then we is the new ancestors. So if we're not going to take over our elderly, our parents, our cousins, our uncles, our aunts, our neighbors and stuff like that, well, who's going to take care of us? Because it's a cycle, our return shall come. You see, and our community, in a sense, where we don't like the elderly, we don't do a lot more to support. Once you reach a certain age and they say you're tired to like 62, it's time to shut you out of the society where you have no more brain cells to contribute and all this different stuff. Whereas when you see how the other cultures function, you see they're 100 years old, they might run for president, they're 100 years old, they might run for mayor. They don't have no ears when it comes to lack off, when it comes to contributing to their society. We have we have been brainwashed and bamboozled to not to, and this is one of the reasons why I say, yeah, Shani hear me keep saying, the mistake that was made by the Alexander Hospital, that whole area should be turned into an elderly home, a high class professional place where you want, like, you can have like an apartment in a sense like that, how the design where you live in. You need those kind of communities, just so you're building homes for young people. So you need a retirement home for elderly community and stuff like that. Those where, what I mean, they have, in that area, you only elderly live within that area. You as a young person can't go inside there to say you're going to live inside there. They have their own community, and those are things we have to look at when it comes to diversifying. But when it comes to, we just can't turn our back. You see, and a lot, and the sad thing about it, true, we young, cause these things take time, and they gotta be compassion. Cause remember, they no longer. I mean, my grandmother had Alzheimer's, my aunt, and most of my aunts had Alzheimer's. So I understand. My neighbors have Alzheimer's, and all those have the behavior is different. And then I grew up looking by shoulder, by the shop, and looking for her bread. And so I grew up around elderly people, which is normal for me. So looking after an elderly person is just like something you grew up doing, making the porridge and the teas in the flask, the thermos, and all the different stuff. So this is just like natural, a part of what you're supposed to be doing. Because really, as I'm saying, these are people who looked after us, you see, and put echoes. So what now? You have a chance now to do what is right. You're too busy now, because all turn will come. This is one thing when it comes to life, we're just passing through, and we don't understand why we're here, and we're supposed to really make an impact when it comes to helping each other. It's not about ourselves, because we can't survive on our own. We are not designed to be by ourselves. You see, because we're going to age. And if you live by yourself, you're going to die by yourself. People are going to find you in your home and stuff like that. So we're not designed to be by ourselves. So it's sad that these things are happening, but we really got to look more all for the elderly. And it's something that I always encourage. So definitely, Cindy, that was a very good point to be brought out.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Really, elders, they are those who paved the way for us, and we really need to encourage our youth pay more attention to the elders. You know, we have lost a lot of morals in our society. They're seemingly, sometimes when you look around, you may see we don't have that level of respect for the elders that we grew up with, Banky. I mean, I grew up in an era where even my mother and my father was not in good communication with this person over there. I had to pass that person and still say good morning and good afternoon. And if I didn't, that person itself, even though they're not talking to my mother and my father, might come and complain, and I can get licks. That's big people. That's not got nothing to do with you. You keep out a big people story. You understand? So that's the era that I'm coming from. Where you pass, you say good morning, good afternoon to everybody, especially if they're older than you. You can't let them see you look in a particular way or sound. Something can't come your mouth. You those when you're into these kind of people. You can't be walking, going to school, shut out your phone like that. And so, I mean, they're going to call you. So you don't even know how your parents know. You don't know how your parents know these things.
True.
How they know you went down? You leave high school and you went downtown. How did they know? Somebody done tell them by the time you reach home. So that's the era, that I'm coming from. And some of these things we have lost a bit. I think adopted some of what we call American Western lifestyle. Some of these things we get so overly protective. I wouldn't even call it overly protective, but the neighbor you can't encourage the next person. You can't say nothing to them. Sometimes they would want to curse you in front of children. So then the children ain't gonna respect for you if they meet you on the street, because you know what I mean. So we have to change. We have to get back some of these morals and so on to instill in our children, respect, literally having respect, unity, and all of them so on. We need to do a bit more of that as we need to build societies, because if we knew the way we are heading with lack of respect and value for your parents and others in the community and so on, we are seeing some of the ends of some of this, and that's not what we really want. Definitely we don't want to see this anymore. I really think that was a very good topic to bring to the fore and to have us really, reflect on as a society, because I'm sure as I speak, a lot of people who are, listening could relate to what I am saying, because that is where, we came from, our generation. I don't know, sometimes I say that we, the 70s generation, are the last set, you know what I mean? Like, we're the last set of, like real people after our generation. I really don't know totally exact from there. But we have a task, and a part of that task is for us to really continue to empower our youths, do as much as we can to inculcate some of these cultural norms and morals into them, so that even if they opt not to necessarily follow a lot of what you try to teach, when they get older, when they start to face certain things, they could at least remember, by daddy and mommy was saying this, because we too must remember too that we rebelled some of what our parents were saying as well too, because we thought at a certain stage in our life that we knew a lot of things too, and then it's only when we got a bit older we start to say, by what mommy was saying, that I should have studied with that, or should have, if I, and so we still have that part to play. And so I think as a people, we really need to do as much as possible to try to save as much of the future generation. So even though you hear me say, seemingly that we're the last generation, it's not that I am giving up hope on this generation. It is not in that light. We have to do all that we can to try to save our generation. We will, if there's no other comment on that topic, Cindy, any other comment on that topic, we would just roll on to another. If not, no?
No,
Okay. So
I'm excited to hear
okay.
what you have to say.
Okay, well, the next topic that we're gonna roll into is we're gonna get into this one because Banky also want to talk about the tariffs, and so where is that? I was looking for something here. Okay, so Bank, you want to talk about the tariff, and so there is a topic that I want to drop in between here, but okay, so let's talk about that. The tariffs and how that is going to impact how it impacts us. Some of the tariffs are not fully implemented yet, but they are going to be in a not too distant future. We might not directly be affected by the tariffs as much, but because we are so heavily dependent on imports, we will be in a lot of cases dealing with the high costs that would be incurred by the businesses, whether it's who imports, and usually our main port of entry is through Miami. And if those of you who also shop from, whether it's Shein or Shen or Tamu and all of these other Chinese ventures and so on, when these charges are passed on to the wholesaler in America, those additional charges will be passed on to whoever wholesaler will be buying on St. Kitts and Nevis to then sell again to our customers. And we are already crying that the minimum wage is not livable for many. Imagine when we have to add that onto what we already have because many of us are still struggling from COVID, after COVID, up until now. Many of us are still trying to get ourselves back into that position. So Banky, and Cindy, I guess you weigh in on how you think that would really the implications for us and St. Kitts and Nevis.
Cindy, you're gonna go or
Okay.
you want me to go?
Okay, I'll just be shortly. I don't know, but I like to remain optimistic in everything. I think that prices will rise because of these tariffs, but at the same time, in spite of the challenge, I also see that we become more creative in how we are gonna deal with that challenge. For instance, how I grew up, we were talking about the elderly a while ago, and I learned so much from my grandmother then, how they learned to survive. Um, your son, I can recall she going to Harris Lawrence place. You remember Harris Lawrence, right? All of you remember Harris
Yes,
Lawrence right
yes.
there?
Done by
And
credit code,
what
by the base,
Yeah.
the bottom of credit code,
by the base, sorry, by the end, by the base right there, or
bottom of credit code, yeah.
by Slack. And I sometimes instead of a name brand shoe, we might have to settle for a shoe. It doesn't have to be name brand. instead of Victoria's Secret bra, we women might just have to settle for a bra, but it's a bra anyway. So we're gonna learn to exercise fiscal prudence in terms of how we budget with the challenge that is coming. And I'm not gonna stay much longer, but I remember shopping, and if she had $10 as opposed to 20, and she wanted to buy chicken and rice. It means that she opted for the pound rice instead of the chef way. And in some cases, instead of the chicken wing, we had to end up with the back of the chicken. And instead of maybe mixed vegetables, frozen vegetable, we ended up with spinach from the garden. So it's mean that some of us might be go back to backyard gardening. And so sometimes we had to end up eating rice and bakanek and spinach, which is a vegetable, which is still, healthy, because that's what we had to spend. So saying all of that, I know the and some person might be looking, there should be increasing salaries to offset the expense that we are going to incur. But I think it will bring out our creative juices. And I think some of us will have to return to better spending. And also, I'm just looking at the positive of it and our backyard garden. And so some of us might even start to go back to sewing. We learned to garn or whatever when we had a tear in our pants or blouse. And some of us might have to go back to the nitty gritty of learning to survive when these services are put in place.
Yes, son. Cindy, what you don't understand, Bakanek is very expensive now. Bakanek is not as cheap as it is now. It's giving chicken leg and drumstick and all this in competition. You see, I know they're doing grilled bakanek, like how they do grilled chicken wings and all that different stuff. Yeah. You see, because remember, we take things for granted, and that is one of the better part of the chicken to eat. To it is not fleshy, but it having some flesh and how it is between the neck, with the cartridge and stuff like that. But yes, and what's happening with once there's an inflation increase with prices, it means that the money keep devaluing. You keep getting less for your money. That's what it really means. You see, so how these things gonna be offset in these times? Just so we have Christmas times coming up, where you're getting a barrel and stuff like, you don't pay whatever is $1 or whatever it is. These are times you shouldn't even be you're bringing in food. You shouldn't even be charged for food and stuff like that. You just pay a standard fee, whatever is a small box. You pay whether it's $20 but not a barrel for 25 or 30, but nothing should cost over $50 because food are just be for free. You see what I mean? Because nowadays to fill a barrel of food in the US is gonna cost you over $400, $500, $600 full of barrel, These are the days where the full of barrel is like it costs you $50, It's totally different with a virgin. Time have changed dramatically, You understand? It's just like, so if you say the minimum wage in New York was like way back in McDonald's, them is like $6. Now the minimum wage is $18. So you see the reality, how it have jumped, have moved because of inflation, and we are moved toot and think we and then moving it piece. Give people the money one time, brethren. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't hear the Prime Minister say he's not gonna decrease VAT. You see what I mean? So what you're gonna do? Impose more taxes? You must do something, because the dollar is devaluing. That is the reality. You're building a house, it's gonna cost you more. You're buying a car, is everything gonna cost? You're gonna cost you one. We right now within the system where we getting rid of the single-use plastic, but then when you go inside there, you have to buy what they're selling, the usual bag or the brown paper bag. Back as Cindy mentioned, Harris Lions, way back in the 80s, when we go into Harris Lions, the paper bag is free. So how in the 80s paper bag is free, but how in 2025 you are charged for the same paper bag when we give you plastic for free? Well, me just say can quick, because these like things to can people. Because you're canning me, you're giving me something free all the time, plastic, but no, you're selling me these things, you're replacing it with. This thing don't make no sense, brethren. You see what I mean? So why the plastic goes free, but no, the paper bag, me have to buy it? I mean, I understand that. What is that? Somebody explain this to me. You see? And back in the 80s, when you go buy when you buy pigtail, pig in the bucket and where they pour them in a brown paper bag, wrap them up, and then pour them in. Because those so paper by the shade still exists. It's not that they stop existing; they're still around. And then they put it in the brown paper bag, and you put it in your traveling bag where you're taking it with them different plastic floor, like them different type of bag with a pattern and stuff like that. You see what I mean? That was the time. This somehow we have been canned to move away from what was good, going into a way to mess up our environment, and then 30 years later, go back which part was doing good. Does that make sense? So we have as the people leading us into living in a kind of mess then, because we was doing good. If somebody can us to go move into towards all this plastic, which harming the environment, and then 30 years later, 35 years later, we gone back to the same thing that was good. Using the same paper bag, the same. You see what I mean? This thing don't make no sense. Either when we're supposed to be maturing, and know we're supposed to protect the environment, and we're making poor, the people put to lead us, keep failing us, making poor decisions. That's what it is. Poor decisions.
But to some extent, Banky, to some extent, I'm blaming ourselves for that, because these people who are supposed to be leading us are hired by us. We are the taxpayers, we're paying them. But I find what is happening is that we are not doing as much as we can and should in terms of holding these people accountable. Some of these issues I have, like today we had National Assembly and Nevis to pass a bill on something.
Yeah, gaming.
No, wait, many want to say what it is, because here's what I'm saying. This is how I'm putting it over. It is something that was never brought to the public in the first instance. So this is what I'm saying. Like, we have this tendency where we're taking these things for norm, where these people are going in the house and just pass laws. Like, okay, they sit down and decide this is what they think is best for us. And they say they're doing it for us. So how come we never had a say before you get to that stage? Why are we allowing these things to continue like this? And tomorrow we're supposed to have House of Assembly again federally. Did whatever they're going in there to do, did they bring it to the public to get the public's view and opinion? Because you're working on behalf of me. So these things, I am kind of baffled sometimes at these things, like as how we as a people sit back and allow these things. You're supposed to be working for me. I hire you, I give you a job. You say you're going to be doing this for me, but you ain't consulting with me. And then this thing gone in the house, and it has 3 readings and it's passed, and that's it. So if you want to vex London, you vex. If you want to cuss and say whatever you want to say after, because we done pass it in the house. The most we could do when done is, if anything, make some amendments. That is if the people ever come to, and I'm not talking about a specific bill, so please don't, I'm hoping, let me make sure that I correct myself, because I'm not talking about that specific bill. I am just talking in general, how we don't have a say in the things that are supposed to be done for our benefit. I think, based on how governments should perform or function, these are decisions that you're supposed to come to the public with. Whatever means to have a discussion about a town hall meeting, debate, talk show, whatever it is, to sort of get the feedback of the public. And then you proceed to that. I don't know, y'all could weigh in on that, but that's my view when it comes to these things. What are your thoughts on that?
I do agree to Shy, your son. I think there's supposed to be more transparency in government, and in terms of people empowerment. The government not supposed to be like a top-down approach in all aspects. I do understand that there are some decisions that they might have to make that way, but we have to sometimes use the bottom-up approach in empowering people. And people pay taxes. We are the ones who pay taxes. And so we supposed to have a say, or we supposed to at least have a know into what is going on. So I totally agree with you. This is supposed to be something that was brought to the people rather than you just go in house and say, okay, we're passing this and whatever you want to say after. It's not supposed to. This is not a dictatorship. It's supposed to be a democracy. And so things need to be done differently, where people become or feel like they're part of government in that they are there in the decision-making process as well when it comes to these things.
Yes, and you hear me speak all the time about inclusion, and the way forward is accountability and inclusion. The next all these elections have to be based on inclusion. The people have to be a say of the decision-making process. These are just the reality, Virgin. We are the new ancestors, you know. You know what I'm saying? We are the new ancestors. We got to embrace that. Our parents are in the 70s and 80s and different eras and stuff like that. We are who come in the next 10 years, 12 years, all of us in our 60s. That is the reality. 10 years is just around the corner. So your brain might feel like, but if you let me still in high school, good for you. Let your brain trick you. Better come down and off the high cloud and realize what the reality is. You know what I'm saying? What you ain't accomplished, then you have less time to accomplish it now. We have less time ahead than what behind us. That's the reality. So whatever need to be done, we cannot be continue to be canned with this ignorance that those that we elect and tend to be looking up to, and then we can I'll figure out long time since I'm in primary school, you know. The people that we tend to look up to and think they're distinguished and that this and playing, they're important. They are not important, you know. They are just hurt children being put in position and whatever they have reached, and then they just take out the anger on other people below them all the time. Just keep repeating the same hurt they get on other people. You know what I'm saying? And then we put them into power, in position to manage others. You see what I mean? That's the problem with our society, you know. Is human problem, you know, not animal problem, you know. You see, and then I realized also we have two types of people where those who think evil is good, and those who think good is good. Them who think evil is good laugh after the whole thing, and them who we put to control us. We've been bamboozled. We have been canned. The all drink out the same cup. Whether you change the color or this or that, the reality is in front of you. We cannot deny these things. You know what I'm saying? It's just to plain to see. That's why they're not consulting. Okay, look at this for instance. They say, yes.
Right.
It's just plain enough. I was just saying, is just the plain thing when they had the Cannabis Commission, the people said they wanted recreational. Well, when they get them, recreational in a different medical term, where you're gonna pay, where you have to pay. You see?
Well, you see, part of the problem, and I guess maybe we need to do a lot more in terms of our society to, maybe as we're talking about going back to the way things were, maybe we really need to get to a point where we get back civics into the school system so that we could have more people who are more informed in terms of the governing structure and how it works and how it's supposed to work. Because I think, Banky, yes, sir.
People grow up in a house, you know, you know, raise your children and them. Saying they have a children in the house, or saying they're on ethics. So you know, go up in a house. We all go up in a house where we understand ethics is the house that we have to start. The problem we start in the house.
No. Civics, ethics different. Civics has to do with like learning about the government and the system and how that they operate and so on, how to function a civil society, a society that has been structured for you. So what I'm saying, why I'm saying that I think this is needed, because from what we are seeing happening, and based on the example that I spoke about, and remember I said I'm not speaking to that specific incident of today, I'm going into the house. But when we look at a system like that, we are supposed to be in a democracy. Now, in a democracy, you talk to the people, and in a democracy is the people supposed to have the power. But what we are getting is more of a sort of dictatorship style through a democracy, because here is it, you are supposed to be working on behalf of the people. These decisions that you are going to make, or that you're making using the taxes to do whatever, because the taxes, the same taxes that are paid by these people, that you're making decisions to either seek to make more, or seek to invest some, or seek to do whatever, but you say you're doing it on behalf of the people. But the people who you are supposed to be doing it on behalf of have no say. So how democratic is that? The argument they're going to make is that they have been given the mandate by the people because these people voted for them and put them there. That is the argument that is being made. But in reality, how democratic is it really when, without even consulting with these people who you claim voted for you, you just go in and make some decision? Okay, like for example, Banky, the government was faced with, and this is the federal government was faced with a court case revolving around buggery and homosexuality and whatever. Because they were faced with that case, they thought that the best thing that they could have done was to run in the House of Assembly and pass a bill to take buggery off of the books. Now, it's a controversial topic. All I am saying, we the people had no say in that issue. We found out about that after the fact. Now, we're in a society where something like that would be a controversial issue. So, and this is what I'm saying, we have these things happening, no consultation, it just happened, and okay, you just got to deal with it. Is that really, democracy? So that is where I am with something like that, and I don't have the answer, but I'm just bringing these things because it's called the topics, and these are things that sometimes, as I said, we sometimes sit back and just get into the petty party politics, partisan politics, and sometimes these issues are not necessarily addressed. The next topic we're going to roll into, I guess I'm going to start it this way. So let's see how we do this one here.
But why hasn't this connection happened yet? What's really stopping Africa and the Caribbean from building direct trade? It's not because there's no interest, it's not because there's no demand, and it's not because there's no need. The real problem is structural, it's political, and yes, it's historical. Let's break it down. Number one, there are no direct shipping or air routes. That's the most basic issue. If you want to send goods from Accra to Kingston or from Lagos to Bridgetown, guess where they go first? Through Europe, through Miami, through London. The same colonial trade routes that were designed centuries ago to move goods through imperial centers are still controlling how we trade today. Secondly, there are no trade agreements between the regions. As of now, Africa or the African Union and CARICOM don't have a formal free trade agreement. So if a Jamaican company wants to import cocoa from Ghana, or a Nigerian firm wants to export cassava flour to St. Lucia, they're paying steep tariffs, sometimes as high as 28%. That kind of friction kills deals before they even begin. And without legal frameworks or dispute resolution mechanisms, businesses simply don't want to take the risk. Thirdly, there's no market intelligence. Businesses on both sides have no idea what the other side is producing, importing, or needing. Ask a manufacturer in Kenya about export opportunities in Grenada, and they'll probably shrug. There's no data, no network, no trade fairs, and no business missions. And my people, that's a great business opportunity for someone. Number four, colonial era trade habits still rule the day. Let's be honest, the systems we're using today were designed by empires, not for us, but for them. Goods from Africa went to Europe, goods from the Caribbean went to Europe, No one thought about Africa and the Caribbean trading with each other, right? And that logic still shows up in everything today, from shipping routes to supply chain financing to what's stuck in the supermarket aisle. And unless it's challenged deliberately, it continues by default. And all of this feeds into a vicious cycle. No trade means no roots. No roots mean high costs. And high costs mean even lower trade. The cycle. So the bridge doesn't get built, not because it can't be, but because the system is rigged to make it look too expensive to try. But here's the good news. There's nothing inherently stopping these regions from trading. It's not geography, it's not culture, it's inertia. And that can be changed.
Your thoughts on what you just heard?
Well, those are common sense. You know, your son, I mean, those things are designed. If you want to live here and go to Africa, if you go to England and them places there, you're going to run a chin chin bam. When I go Barbados and then my Virgin James, he's a pilot. We go over to Eastern where he have a property over there where they have the lighthouse. He said, we are at East. If you head straight, you reach Africa in less than 8 hours. You understand what I'm trying to show you? So I understand these things. We're just being canned to take a long route. It's all about economics. Yes, so we're just living in a world where we're being canned, you know, and that's what I teach my children, them, you know. And we don't butt up things for them because they have to live amongst in this world and not to move around with a room full of vultures. Because it's pure vultures around us, you know, just so pretty and wear ties and this and that and that and something. But we could see the vultures, they have clear cars. The universe don't, I'm living around. It's just a facade. So when I get in an elevator and I'm manning a jacket and tie, I see a man with mask, you know. You understand? So I watch myself and set myself, you know. Just so let me think about them this way, because them are the can. You see? So them things are not for me. So I teach my youth them to analyze people, scan them, watch them, don't let it this and that and all. They don't mean nothing. Them are just you see when we wear makeup, well they men them wear makeup too. The clothes and the makeup and all these different things. He hide and put off a good persona. So that's the reality. You see me to show you? So we are just we choosing not to trade amongst. It's the reality, it's common sense, but you got to invest in resources. You see? We have the money to do these things in my Virgin. Okay, it's like today, I've been listening. Today, first, we had the House of Assembly where they're passing laws. You understand? And then they had the lady Marsha in tourism, the Minister of Tourism, speaking about tourism and how far they have reached and all these things. And let me tell you something. If every area get the attention tourism get and the investment when it comes to the hotel, the sleepover, the airplane, the cruise boat, if they get the investment where they're bringing people, the cruise liners agencies to have meetings here and they travel and promote, if agriculture, education, healthcare, roads, water, every area get the attention that tourism get, but this will be heaven on earth, right here. And this is how it is. We've been canned. They're investing in tourism, real estate, CBI. That's all they care about. They care about nothing. When I listen to a lady, they talk about and break down how the investment and all these things and how much they increase by me, say, well. I want if only me hear this here. Because people hear things, but they don't analyze and put all these resources could go just to all the other agencies, them the same way too. You see, so if we want to trade with Africa, we'll invest, you know, right now they say we're going to trade with Africa, but what we're going to do, use your as a stockpile, you see, to send food, put on a big mega warehouse here, stockpile, and then we're going to send back out if we invest in the resources here to ship back food or ship other resources back to Africa. You see, you must have the infrastructure. You can't just be talking and you're not seeing the money. You must have to start now to develop your infrastructure. Whatever it is, if you're going to want to increase the agro-processing, you need small and more smaller agro-processing units and all these things. Or even a small machine where a train where you could battle stuff more faster. We can't talk about bigger production. So you must invest in resources. You can't farm without water, virgin. And if you got a farm, with the farm, you must do have got new roads. These roads got to maintain in some of these areas and stuff like that. So how you gonna trade? Who gonna buy the boat? Who gonna buy the boat? Who gonna look after the boat? You can't even look after a building that you got the office. You look after a boat. Me's a realist, you know. Me not got time. You understand? If people come and can't be a fool, me too old for that. You see, if you can't be in a primary school, then you can't be now. I see things what it is in a virgin. You know what I'm saying? We choose not to want to trade in Africa. Those are choices. The only jump of Africa now because everybody get catch. When you know in the bush, when you're growing up and you belly hot, you know what the bush got to do? And you hear somebody walk come, you you just put up a pant, but the argue catch you the pants dog, you see? So now they want to start talking for the people don't lose their trust in them. And nothing these people can come tell me more. And me not hear nothing from them. I listen, but I know it's just a waste of time. It's just all doodle. That's my part with that, your son. It's just choices.
All right. Cindy, you, you?
I agree with Banky in a lot of regards. I firmly believe that charity begins at home. And when we are going to be talking about trading with Africa or other Caribbean islands, how do we prepare ourselves for that? Because as some people, the term that some persons like to use, that we cannot come last. So Nevis should not come last in this regard. We have to invest in our own people. We have to invest in our country, and we have to invest in ourselves that we too are prepared, ready, and we too can benefit from the trade. In just that we'll be taking from other persons and not having the resources going out so that we too can make money. So yes, Banky, I agree with you with that, that we need to invest in our water system, our agriculture, buying machinery or whatever. Somebody keep telling me why we have so much mangoes. Leaf is full of fruits. We have fruits, we have the guineps, and we have a lot of mangoes being wasted every year, and probably like tamarind and such like. So, what are we doing in terms of that? Are we thinking about investing in probably have mango juice or dry mango? If you go to Trinidad, you see that they take all the fruits now selling in the drugstore in Nevis, the Evelyn drugstore, you have all those dry fruits coming out of Trinidad, mango, papaya, and plum and stuff like that. And they're for sale, so we too can look at investing. So when the trade comes, that Nevis is also inclined to have things to trade as well. I don't mind the trade, but I want us to prepare ourselves so we too in the mix of having things to trade rather than just buying from other persons outside.
Okay. Well,
So that
ideally, that should be the scenario. We really should be in a position where we could um, take care of ourselves and sustain ourselves. But our practicality is that right now we are importing over 90 plus percent of what we consume. We do need to be able to do a lot more. And some of what you mentioned in relation to some of these dried products and so on, this is one of the things that we keep pushing on our Everything Agriculture program. And it's something that I personally push, and not just push by saying it, but push also by demonstrating it. I actually, at present, operate a company that produces value-added products, and I sell value-added products online. So that is where I am in terms of not just saying that this is the direction that we should take in terms of St. Kitts and Nevis for the future in terms of our agro industry, but actually demonstrating. However, the clip that was shared spoke to why Africa and the Caribbean is not trading as much as we should be and could be. And our reality is right now we're importing, but we're not importing from Africa. So the argument or presentation in more recent times, especially when the 12-member delegation went to Nigeria recently. That was one of the things came out of the trip, that there is a plan, and I guess that's what Banky spoke about in terms of the storage. There's a plan to actually develop that trading route by using St. Kitts and Nevis as a hub for the rest of the Caribbean, by setting up that storage facility where they can bring in all of these things from Africa and have this one place on St. Kitts and Nevis, and then the other businesses in the Caribbean you can use smaller ships that move between the Caribbean now to move things to whether it's Trinidad or Grenada or St. Lucia or whatever it is, right? Not a bad idea, because we really should be trading more with each other. What they were pointing out is some of the rationales for us not doing that, and one of them that stuck out is the fact that a lot of these things were created by a system that many of us seemingly don't want to change. So it's a designed system that is set up by those who were our colonizers, so to speak. So they have set up the system that ensures that trade happens between them from the Caribbean and also from Africa to them, but not directly from Africa to the Caribbean, because it benefits them. Now, part of the problem that I see, which is what we are dealing with, even from a governmental standpoint, is that we set of people who are elected, and the things that they times seek to address, and this is how we can determine that the things that they seek to address are the things that end up being beneficial to them personally and or their supporters and cronies and friends. But the things that do need change, could change and should change, and they have with realms to change, they claim that it's too difficult too. So even the system that we have, we were handed a constitution, and we hear all of the politicians who have passed through federally and locally, those in the past, and even those who are present, put argument that the constitution needs changing. It needs change. But with all the and colors and all of these people that we have amongst, none of them has made any efforts. One of them said, not even the comma, not even has been changed in the constitution. They know that has flaws, and they know that is not to our benefit, but it is continued and perpetuated because it benefits the status quo. In our governing structure, independence is the first phase. The next phase is to become a republic, where we get away from the monarchy. The monarchy is still a head of state. We are still paying over $1 million to pay for a governor general to do what? Represent somebody who we say we are getting independent from? How does that make sense? You're supposed to be independent from these people, but you're going to take up, they give you nothing. When you got independence, they gave you nothing. You have to find your own money yourself. But you know, have to take your own money that you're finding for yourself to pay for governor general, just to be symbolic that there is a head of state. Yes.
Let me take this call. Carlo, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you guys, man, and the guests there.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, great discussion. Like, yeah, you guys are right on point with all these topics tonight. Is there you can let me read something, man, real quick, man?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm coming from a historical perspective here. The transatlantic slave trade was officially abolished in the British Caribbean colonies in 1807. However, The actual abolition of slavery in the British West Indies, including the Caribbean, took place in stages. Slavery was formally abolished in 1833, with the full emancipation granted on August 1st, 1834. However, a system of apprenticeship was initially implemented, where formerly enslaved people were required to work for their former owners for a period of 4 to 6 years. This apprenticeship system was ultimately abolished in 1838, granting full freedom to those who had been enslaved. You know, I just try to put that little perspective, historical perspective. The slave trade was abolished in the early 1800s, right? And up to now, we can't catch ourselves, we can't see the need to trade with our own family members, our own brothers and sisters on the continent. Me, myself, I sent on 4 shipments to Africa last year, and I'm right now working on getting this Saturday here, I'm taking a ride up to New Jersey to drop off 1 shipment, and by next month, I'm gonna have another shipment out of here. You know, I said this to say, man, our leaders in the Caribbean, they have failed us, man. Honestly speaking, this is coming straight from my heart, bro. They have failed us. And in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, like, let me just put something where there's a guy named Kalangri. He be saying what Granny says, and I'm gonna just pick something from him. Granny said, put something up for a rainy day. But we started a program called the CBI program in 1984. That was 40, 41, 42 years ago, 43 years ago. And the amount of money came into Bastille, the citizens of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, they have no idea how much money was raked in. And all of the money that was raked in was mismanaged. We can't see physical time, we can't see physical stuff in terms of like our roads, our schools, our hospitals. You know, we still can't complete the little 1-bedroom. We can't put down a 1-bedroom at a house up at the Alexander Hospital up to now, 8 years. A lot of the projects around the Federation is being run into bush. Incomplete. Y'all just take a tour around St. Kitts and Nevis. You're going to see a lot of, even some of the same CBI programs, they are incomplete. The thing is, man, all of the money that came into Bastille that they mismanaged, now somebody gonna have to hurt with that money missing, and it's come down to the poor people. The poor people is suffering, man, and it's only the elitists, it's only some people. Their monies went into only certain people's hands.
Carla, you can wrap up and I can call back if you want to.
Oh yeah, man. I just wanted to make that point, man.
All right.
All the money that came into Bastille, St. Kitts and Nevis should be in tip-top shape. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Thanks a lot, man.
Cool. Appreciate it. Yes, son?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, great point. And you know, we really have to address this issue as a people. A lot of us, you know, over the years would have not looked to Africa. You know, many of us, you know, it was only Rastafari, you know, in our society who kept, you know, pushing this African consciousness and really, you know, seeking to keep our people that grounded. I think with what is happening around the world today, and with all of the tariff issues that we talked about, and you know, just the way the world, the geopolitics is at this time, it has sort of forced, technically, a lot of our Caribbean leaders to begin to look outside and to really see more of the possibilities of doing these things. And thus, that move we see in the more recent times for our government to make that move to Nigeria. There are many other African territories, I've been saying this over the years, that we would have had diplomatic relations with, but we don't see much of the tangibles as a result. For me, when I assess the situation, I think a lot of what was done under the guise of diplomacy, so to speak, was more with the intent to just have another country to add to the visa-free status. To say, okay, well, our passport now have visa-free access to 100 and how many of the countries. So the objective was just to try to get as many countries on versus really the tangible relationships. And I say that to some extent because you find some of these relationships are one-sided, where they may have visa-free access to come to our territory, but we still have to get a visa to go to their territories. So the negotiation sometimes in some of these cases is left to be, desired in some of these cases. So there is the need for us to seriously make that gap. I must say, I applaud the government in seeking to make that move, to make that connection. The other part of it is in relation to the direct flights coming out of Africa. As we talk about tourism, Banky spoke about tourism. For many years too, we have been locked into seeking to just get tourists from the US and Europe. I don't know if we can count on any, or if any, very few, we would have had any trade shows to try to appeal to, say, African tourists to come to our sites. Because in a lot of cases, the mindset to some extent still is that, they're not affluent, they don't have that kind of money over there and so on, because we still have that kind of mindset. However, that coupled with the fact that we don't have that direct link either, because I think the premier on his return, he spoke about his experience by leaving here and going to Africa and getting to Nigeria in about 8 to 9 hours, versus on his way back, because he had to leave before the others, he took about 40 hours to get back. And so he spoke to the realities, even if we're supposed to market to those destinations at this point, without having the direct flight, it is still going to be hard to encourage a person. Because, I mean, think about it. You're taking a vacation. Would you really want to travel 40 hours before you get to your next destination? I don't think so. But since we recognize the problem, it is something that I think we really should seek to address. We still have a couple more issues on the table. Let's look at in a short space of time, the victory of Kamala Prasad in Trinidad and Tobago. They would have had elections last evening. That's an interesting scenario in the sense that we would have had the former prime minister, president, I'm not sure which one it is, but the former leader, let me just leave it at that, the former leader who would have stepped down and would have given his position to another, and he would have thought it best to not just hold on to the position and wait out the time, but to call fresh elections. And as a result, we would have seen a new leader in Trinidad and Tobago, the loss of the Labour Party, and the new party is there. And coupled with that, we are seeing now another female in that realm. I guess maybe seeing that Cindy is a female, let's see if Cindy is in solidarity with that female power, or her thoughts or views and that.
Well, women normally bring probably in some cases a different perspective to men, but concerning women in leadership, I am happy that more women are getting the opportunity to be leaders and at the top. But I must also say this: being a woman does not mean that you're going to be a good leader or that you have the character to be a good leader. I believe in people in general, whether it's regardless of their gender. And I do
Mm-hmm.
hope that not that because she is a woman and she's given this opportunity that she will be of great service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what is most important to me, that you are, when you get the opportunity to be in those positions, whether a man or a woman, that you serve the people as they should be served. One thing I have been observing about Trinidad that I mentioned to a Trinidadian this afternoon, I realized over the past few years, maybe I'm wrong, that you don't have any one party staying in government forever or for like 20 years even, right? I find that in Trinidad, even you might just even last 5 years, and if the people think that you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're out the next election. And then if that party goes in and they still don't satisfy them, you lost the election as well. And when we look at shared best practices, I see that as a good practice in that we don't hold on to party politics and say, oh well, I'm I'm goat or sheep. You decide, hey, you're going there, you promise to make the country better, you promise to take care of your people. And if you do not do that, and we give you a chance or two, and you still don't, then you're out. And if the next party goes in and decide that, okay, make their promises, and then just vote them out. So I like that about the people of Trinidad, that they don't seem to be making jokes with their leaders. But I say congratulations to Kamala as a woman empowerment, and I am also encouraging more women to enter the political arena but become great leaders.
All right,
Yes,
That's
sir.
one. I
Blanky.
mean, well, if the people want change and the leaders who are put there to represent them and they're not doing their duties, you vote them out, and that is the right thing to do. Accountability, and the people in Trinidad have realized. I mean, if they ain't feel safe, if they ain't getting resources that the basic needs and cost of living is affecting them, they don't be holding inside like we here will say, oh, me underpant blue and me underpant red and me brad this and me, it's craziness. And when you die, you paint your coffin green and yellow. And these politicians they doing this painting the coffin the color what they say they're representing, but you doing all this craziness, painting your house all these colors, spray your vehicle these colors, and drive this color vehicle because of this madness. We are more the politics is more organized gang than anything. Them and the police and the military, them are the same organized gang, When they're talking about the youth and them, the worse than the youth and them, Virgin, they're good at manipulations. You see? So if the people of Trinidad want in your party, that's what it is. If the young lady goes there and not fulfill what she says she's gonna do, they change her. He reached to a point the people gonna just take things at their helm and start to run as independent candidate because people are really in these times here. People sitting what it is, eh? You might fool as many as you want, but eventually you just can't fool them all the time. That's just how it is. There comes a time people just they awaken and realize you've been calling me my whole life. So how long this gonna and my children is around seeing these things? So how are you gonna continue just calling us so? So
By
I'm not surprised when
you,
change happen, eh? That's just how it is. I'm not
you know,
surprised when change happen.
this election. It was I guess it was a tightly won election, but there was something that I bumped into that was a part of the campaign that is quite interesting. It's a bit controversial, but I think I would just seek to add it here. Let's see. Let add it here again. Yeah, it's a bit controversial, but let's see.
Underground laws, home invasion laws, and legal firearms. And when the brutal rapists and criminals come into your home, I tell you again, load up your matic, light them up, and stick it. And when you're done, look at them, look at again, and then call my name. I am Pamela. Do
So technically, she says when this is the same new elected official for Trinidad, and she's saying that when she's voted in, she's gonna have stand your ground and legalize weapons for persons. And she said when the rapists them come and call me name,
Can't hear you,
Kamala.
son.
Quite, huh?
You're breaking up. You didn't come through. What you were saying didn't come through. Only the last end, Kamala. You're breaking up.
Oh, I was saying that she said that when she won, that was part of what she was campaigning, that when she won, that she would have stand your ground laws, and you would be able to have your own your weapon. And if when the rapists them come and the bad man then come and so empty the clip on them, and then knock it again, and call Kamala, say it's me. So it was just quite interesting, hearing that from, as a part of the campaign. I don't know how that is going to play out, but it was just something that I thought I would put in the mix, seeing that we were talking about her at the time, and I bumped into it. Some food for thought. Hearing politicians talking like that from the platform, and we know what's going on in Trinidad at this time in terms of the violence that's taking place with the youth and so on. I just found it kind of interesting, coming from, I didn't expect to hear that from the platform, but I guess based on
Well,
what's happening in
she's
society, you
saying
still have to show that you're tough,
she's speaking
that you're willing to do
what
something. Yes,
the
that she's
masses,
willing to do something.
what the public's saying. The public want to arm
Yes.
themselves. That's what happened. The public are scared. So she reached a point, she just being bold about it. She's not
Right.
buttering up. You see what I mean? Because you see, they give Virgin, once you're not a criminal, every citizen have the right to be armed, We need to go on here, so we give with friends and them, and because you and this person afraid to give them an arsenal, but you as a professional, as upstanding person, they don't want to give it to you because you got locks on the head and the this and the data. You're doing them now, friend, and you're trouble and the like, and just wanting a petty stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is the problem we have in our society. What the lady is saying, nothing is wrong, Virgin, if you're coming, if me had friends, well, where you want to come in me yard for? Well, me have a store in here. Well, where you come look for? When me have my children inside here, what is your intention? Tell me what your intention be, because you have to understand there are repercussions. They come in and call the police when nobody come in my yard. Even if the police come in my yard, they're not calling me yard. He have to make it there's repercussion. You see? If the army man come in my yard, and he's not going to call to be in here and catch me in here, why do you in my yard? Because I think you got an army uniform and police clothes. I care about that. I don't care about that. And my wife gonna sanction anything I do too. You see? That is the rule of my area what I live. You ain't gonna call on me yard, it belongs to me. I have a way to do what you want with whatever I own. You see? So you come in, you get light up, and you get buried, and nobody miss you. That's the rule. We're hardly not. Because people come in people place, rape the children, rape their wife in front the man and them and all and something, and the kind of things and accept them. A lot of craziness goes on. We live in a sick society. We live here, violence go on here. You see how right now what's going on here now. We having like a hallelujah, like the best thing like sliced bread. We can't no crime happening for the last 7 months stretch. You see what I'm talking about? So it's not like we don't understand what fear is. The society understand these things. So of course they're gonna embrace
Well,
and vote for stuff like that.
I
That's why
think based
that's why
on
they
your
vote for
last,
her.
I think based on your last set of comments, it is a good way to segue into the next topic, which has to do with violence towards our youth, because we are seeing a lot of cases in recent times. We would have had the case in Antigua where, this little girl was abducted and then they eventually found her body somewhere about in some bushes. And then there was another case shortly after that where some other girl went missing as well, but I think that one was found. And then in very recent time, the last and latest uproar we are seeing is the case in Guyana that's taking place right now, where this little 11-year-old was, the last time they said they saw her at this hotel, and then they went to look for her. They didn't find the body. They said they searched the pool and all that, and they didn't see anybody there. But then eventually, the body turned up at the pool, and right now they're going through a number of things over there because pathologist is now saying that she drowned, and a whole set of issues. And so as a result, there's a lot of uproar going on in Guyana right now, a lot of shooting and looting, and I think they actually burnt down the hotel. So even if there was evidence and so on, so there's a lot that's going on. However, what I'm concerned with to some extent is our young girls. I mean, and it might not necessarily, and this is sometimes what happens to us as a people. We might say, oh, it's Guyana. That's happening in Guyana. That's happening in Antigua. And you know what I mean? But we sometimes can't wait until these things reach to us before we have, open discussions and debates. Like even as we spoke earlier about the tariffs and so on, we have not really heard anything from the officials in terms of having discussions to show how, to explain how this is going to implicate us and the implications it have for us and what they plan to do to help to mitigate and so on. We don't have these kind of discussions. And the same as the people, when we have these issues and so on, sometimes we wait until something happens and then we want to speak out. But we see what is happening. We really, it's a topic that I think we need to discuss and look at least for a minute and weigh in on it and share our views, where that is concerned. So, Cindy, as a female, I don't know if you're familiar, if you're aware of what's going on with the case in Guyana, and or if you were aware of that case in Antigua and so on, and your concerns in terms of our young girls and that issue on a whole.
Yes, Shy, before I answer, I don't know if it's the appropriate time. I was going to say it before you move to the next topic about Kamala and the comments she made concerning the gun and people coming
Yeah,
into
sure,
your
no
home.
problem.
Right? I wanted to think about how Trinidad is also different. She won the election even though she made that statement. But I can
Right.
recall that Joseph Parry probably lost an election because of that statement he made about let the gun blaze. And I think he was using that figuratively in that he was trying to say, don't hold back, make your presence felt, or let's fire up and get things, let the work begin, let's get moving. But you realize that election is coming and we're going to let the guns blaze with our campaign where you have a voice and you speak out and you go all out, right? But you know how it was interpreted, and the other party would have used that over and over again to say he was trying to incite violence, and in that way some people were taking it for literally, and it affected him. But we just have to see how or different in countries, and cultures are so different. Concerning the violence happening to our young girls, Antigua and Guyana, that is a age-old, what must I say? That is nothing about that is new under the sun. We would have had our look at. I remember some years ago. I think that young lady who lived close to me, Shamia,
In
from
Westbury,
right
in
there,
Westbury.
that would have shaken our nation in that how she was killed, and there would have been other cases. What I'm going to say though is now is how people are reacting to such violence. Guyana is now saying, but I don't. Um, I saw a Facebook post where they're saying the parents said that the young lady, drowned in the pool. There was no foul play, and yet persons are saying there was foul play. So I really don't know what is happening. And sometimes when you see people react, it might be deeper issues that cause people to now say, I've had enough. They said the last straw that breaks the camel back. And so person, maybe the Guyanese community probably been taking a lot. Maybe there are things that would have been going on apart from this girl. And probably this is the last straw. And people are now saying that we are not going to be taking this anymore. And we have to be careful as leaders in the community, as leaders, that if things keep happening in the community and nothing is being done, or persons feel as if crimes are not being solved, they might have the tendency to take matters into their own hands, and we might lead to a case where even the innocent persons, because I saw a video where the police are now reacting as well, and they holding up some men there on the ground and stuff like that. But I'm hoping that common sense will intervene in that regard, and that they will come to some solution where people will stop getting killed or hurt, and things can work out. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And it can happen anywhere or any place, even St. Kitts and Nevis. But I think Nivijans are more docile thing. Right, Shai? I would think so. I don't know if we're going to reach to the point where we go on to burn down stuff. I'm hoping that we don't do, and we can deal with things in a more civil manner, because at the end, nobody wins. Nobody wins at the end when we resort to violence in that regard.
Okay,
Yes,
Banky,
son.
before you come in, Banky,
Yeah.
let me just read this comment here. It says, this is I can fire. He says, let me say something. Immorality is being taught and promoted now. Nobody wants Rastafari or Black consciousness, which is the healing of the nation. And I guess that is probably in relation to what we are talking about with some of the issues that's taking place. But go ahead with your response, Banky.
When it comes to females, once you're female, when we step outside our environment you're in, the society watch you. A lot of males are watch you, so you have to protect yourself at all times. So female have the mentality different than a man, because they're being preyed upon through the society the whole of their life, and we don't seem to be protecting up with a society where we embrace and pray and women a lot. And if you look at the age of age of consent in this time here, and we have so much male leaders and male lawmakers. Why set this thing and so much females now are liars? Why don't be advocating to change these things? I just find this thing strange. You know what I'm saying? With all these lawyers, we probably have the most lawyers per capita in the whole world, and most of them are females nowadays, and they are not advocating to change these laws of consent. So I don't understand these things. You see what I mean? I just don't get it. So these are normal way women go through things every day, and the workplace, in the house, through COVID, even make it worse. Just a lot. So why do you think we live in a society with so much mental problems? You see what I mean? We must live in a society like that because we are learned to hush down things and stuff like that. So all these things, as you said, these are nothing new. You know what I'm saying? These are nothing new. You know, had a young, and these are different. These things happen around here all the time. You understand? Boating, singing, navies throughout the Caribbean. We know these things. You understand? We know these things. We have most of these Caribbean countries have a very low age when it comes to consent, and that mean both female and males. So it means we're living in a perverted society. I keep saying it over and over and over. You understand? But you can't vote until you're 18. You can't get a license until you're 18, and you can't drink rum and all these things till 21. It's a lot of nonsense. But you can be a child and having sex and get pregnant and maybe the father have to look after you and all this madness. Me not kill last year, virgin. Me not kill last year, so let me make it be clear. I don't kill last year. Any man to me young picnic and them. Me say for them, can have nothing to do with me and them, you know? Me and me own la. So they to understand the repercussion for my children and them. And then like to make that clear early up. You see? So me not play them things so with nobody. Me not care who you be.
This is one of the things. This is one of the things that I've been talking about. Where I'm saying that there are things that they can change and there are things that they can do, but you are not seeing any effort in these things.
They don't care.
You could see they could rush in the house to pass a bill that is going to benefit them.
Good choices. It's just choices.
So you know, and this is what I'm saying, because here is it. This is an issue, and it is on the books. But like I keep saying, this is the system that we have inherited. We have inherited a system. Those who are at the helm, they know that the system was never designed for us. And this is part of the problem that we have. The system is a colonial system. The system was never designed for us to be the beneficiaries. However, there are some from amongst us, and that's what makes it so complicated, because these are people who grow up amongst us, and then they find themselves in that position where they are upholding and maintaining and seeking to do whatever it is to maintain that system that was designed to oppress the masses. And they are aware of that, fully aware, but they take up the Bible and they play allegiance to King Charles, his and his successors. That's how deep it is. They ain't even just saying, well, okay, I hail in King Charles. When you say his, I mean, whoever, if his children, his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and if any one of them is whoever succeed, you are playing allegiance after you don't get. But you can't change laws or rules or regulation that is affecting you. So 16 years old, that was in the old school. And you still want to maintain that because you're perverted, you want to continue playing with young children, but they can't get a license until they're 18. You can't smoke cannabis, according to you now, until 21. But you could go get a child and come back in my house and everything cool. So
Cindy was saying something?
Real serious issue. I mean, if you want to say something, Cindy, you can say it.
Yeah,
I was just about to get into the next.
I totally agree with that, Banky and Yason. How you could say that the people become adults at 18 where they could have a license, but they could have sex at 16. Something is totally wrong with that. And I'm hoping that we could start to advocate about that, help become, go out in the community and table that with the community and see what people will have to say, because I think that age of consent is much too young. If you start, they will give them until 18 then to put the age of consent to be at least 18 years old, so that these children could be children much longer than in high school. And okay, a 16-year-old is, let's say, a fourth former in some regard, and having sex, and it's okay. Now something is wrong with that.
But where is the discussion on these things? Where is the platform that's set up from those who are in the position to make the changes, to really have true discourse on these issues, to really get the feel of the people? And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. Like, we're supposed to be in a democratic society, but these kind of conversations and these kind of things that we should be engaged in to help to be a part of having a say. Because at the end of the day, even if you don't accept what the people say, at least let them feel a part of the discussion and the debate, so they could say that they gave an input into these things. Yes, Banky?
which representative, which leader you ever hear mention anything? Name one. What are all the parties that we have? Which one you ever hear mention which one which you you're talking about? Name them. Because this all the shows there is. Name one which ever mention this type about age of consent. No female one, no
None.
male one. They not
None.
touch it.
Short,
They
none.
not touch
Short
it.
answer, none.
That's
None.
it.
But what I'm saying is, and this is what I'm saying, a lot of the debates and discussions are just limited to the petty parties and politics. Oh, he over there this and he over there that. So it's like we're always in
So
campaign mode.
how
But
yeah.
the real issues that we should be engaging, I should be engaging. So that's why I said to some extent, Banky, I don't blame them. I blame us as a people because we are supposed to be, they say that we are 90+% literate, but we are allowing them to play reverse psychological games on us and making them. So imagine we are their bosses and they are able to turn it around and make us feel like they are our bosses. How? How are you all allowing that? Anyway, before, because we are almost, running out of
Yeah.
time as well, and there are one or two other topics that I want to engage us on. This happens to be one. Let's see, this one here.
This is about medicine, about easing pain, about restoring dignity, about offering hope.
Just as ginger has been used for stomach pain, aloe for burns and skin irritations, moringa for boosting your immune system, so too must cannabis be recognized for what it is, another plant in nature's medicine cabinet.
There is no a legal pathway. There is no a regulatory regime to ensure the quality of the product which you are purchasing. There's the possibility of persons getting licenses to have lounges, which we see in Jamaica and St. Vincent and Antigua. We need to follow the rules and the laws carefully.
We are balanced by the responsibility to be firm against cannabis abuse and to uphold and support the laws, policies, and national efforts that seek to ensure that cannabis does not get into the hands of the vulnerable.
By learning from the journeys of others, we have been able to craft an approach that is thoughtful, strategic, and uniquely our. Today, we step forward with confidence, building a foundation for a vibrant, well-regulated industry that will serve our people, strengthen our national economy, and position St. Kitts and Nevis as a model of innovation and a model of integrity. The organization of Rastafari Unity will no doubt be thankful to the government of today for their courageous and their bold move in making those steps in order to rectify some of the wrongs, to stay in line with the Constitution. And as such, we want to give praises to the government. I'm happy to note that our farmers will become stalwarts of this industry and stewards of wellness. Our researchers, guardians of discovery, and our citizens, the soul of this transformation. This is not about chasing trends. This is about shaping legacies. It's about restoring our bond with the land and the core and soul of our people. And through wisdom, through science, and through respect, let's walk boldly into this new chapter.
Okay, so on Friday, the 25th of April, we would have seen on St. Kitts and Nevis a historical moment where we would have seen the launch of the Medical Cannabis Authority's office opening on St. Kitts. What we just listened to would have been snippets from that meeting. And we here on this platform, Real Entertainment Network, also had the opportunity on Friday evening to interview the chair of the Cannabis Authority, Mrs. Jehan Williams Knight, and she was on the platform, and we were able to engage her on the event that took place on that day. And sorry, we had some other questions in relation to cannabis and what to expect now that that has, taken place and so forth. We would have today is what, Tuesday? So since then, we would have seen some reactions and hear some reactions on social media where, people have their views and opinions on the issue. I know Banky would have had an experience that he's going to share a little bit later on, but Cindy, what's your view and your position on that topic overall?
To be honest, I don't know if my view will be a popular one when it comes to marijuana or cannabis. I think I would have had a bad childhood experience in St. Kitts, and that led me to see marijuana in a negative way. And I won't tell you what it was. I can recall that my grandparents, by my father's side, by my paternal father, they moved from Curacao to St. Kitts, and I used to visit them. And I had an uncle who was a Rastafarian, and he, one day he and a friend were there smoking marijuana. And the neighbor's child, she was my age, and she came over to play with me. And next Sunday morning, we heard screaming in the house, and there was this Rasta. I'm not calling a Rasta. I'm not saying anything because it's just people make choices over there raping the young girl, and she was about less than 9 or 10 years old, right? And I can remember seeing the bloody sheet and stuff like that, and that image never left me. The smoking, and then the next morning you were raping a child, and that never left me. And I have other experiences, a terrible one, that I blame it on the smoking of marijuana. I don't, I will not, I reserve the comment in terms of mentioning what it really was and the name and stuff like that. I remember being over at Marriott's at a meeting when Dr. Laws was trying to make a case for the decriminalization of marijuana, and I was one of the persons who spoke up. I said, I'm not into any shady business, and let us not use the covering of medical marijuana to promote the smoking of marijuana, which I firmly believe do have a negative effect on some persons who smoke it, right? I am yet to see, I've heard about it, drinking it is for this and that and Tara, sorry, but I have not been able or have access or of persons who can really say, maybe other persons can have that experience where, okay, I'm using it and it's helping me with this or that. So I don't know. I have mixed emotion and mixed feeling about it right now, to be honest with you. It will have to be proven where people say, okay, I'm buying some marijuana tablets and it's helping with my arthritis or my asthma or whatever. I don't know. It's not something that I support 100%. I'm gonna be honest about that.
Okay, no problem. Banky, your stance on
Well,
your
of course,
view.
yes, and well, seeing this situation, I mean, it's a sad situation that happened. You see what I mean? But I mean, rape is no excuse at all. Abuse is no excuse. A 9-year-old, an adult, whatever the age, it just worse when he's a 9-year-old child. So that's a decision that gentleman choose to make. Not using saying that because he used a plant, that doesn't mean he don't have bad intention. He's a pedophile. He's a pervert. Just as if you have to look at the cases where alcohol coming is sure it happen every day where people drink alcohol and abuse their children and their wives and their sons and daughters, but you're not hearing about it. But these are things going. You see what I mean? So it doesn't
Yeah,
matter
those
which
things.
those are decisions. You see, also, yeah, son. everything the Father is created is good enough. So we can't say, I love the Creator, but they don't condemn something that He created. You see what I mean? Is man is the problem. You see what I mean? The plant is not the problem. The animal is not the problem. We are the problem within the society that we live in. And until we really take responsibility for ourselves, that is what happened. You see? It's choices. That's not the problem. Yes, we all, if I might be able to take a half a beer or 2 sips of beer and I get high. Somebody else could take 3. So people have to understand we get different things affect you differently. And people are not being responsible. You see what I mean? This is how we have to look at things. It's just like you have so much laws against smoking when it comes to marijuana, but it is less when it comes to tobacco or cigar and different stuff. Education is key, and I'm just the kind of person who like to listen to things, debate things, read upon things, get the information, and not just go about what isolated incidents. You understand? I know my environment. If you drive to Charlestown, I go up to 4th Street in St. Kitts on any given, especially Fridays. And this been going on for more than 30 years, where the young man in town sitting down by the National Bank, by the square, going towards Castle in front of Main Street, drinking a Guinness and alcohol and something. We embrace these things. That's why we're going to have so much levels of high liver problem and diabetes and non-communicable disease and stuff like that. If we're gonna be real within ourselves, so even though the society fight against the herb all the years, what Cindy said, what I've been saying all the time, they're just using the medical term, but really is recreational, being controlled. We're not an idiot. You understand? We're not an idiot. I'm around people who use herb all their life. I've been using herb for over 30 years. Well, me no trouble nobody. You see what I mean? Me not commit no crime. I'm a responsible person to society. Yes, and you educate many children that parents probably listening to this show the same way. They trust you with their children. You understand? And many more others like us. So we just don't. I'm for one person. You understand? If you have, marijuana for one is not addictive. We know all these things. We have to go through all this different stuff. You understand? But there's no excuse when it comes to if you want to use heroin and then go and rape anybody I do wrong. That's your choice that you make. You see what I mean? That's your choice. So everything boils down to choices, in a sense. Yes, son. That is how I put things over. You see what I mean? But the opening of the Cannabis Authority is a lot is being said throughout the community, because the licensing fee, there are licensing fees, a lot of licensing fees just for application fees alone. You see what I mean? I could go through some of them, and then it's just to grow local prices and their prices for the foreigners. I don't want to put it like that, but let's say as a local person, like you are Cindy and I want just to grow. There's an application fee just of $1,500 alone. That's just the application fee. But for a foreigner, that fee is $3,000. But you just now you float the farm, but then I also called the office this morning because I wanted to see the procedures when it comes to just asking basic questions on how they will answer the question and handle just an average call by basic question and how I can be get the information over and stuff like that. So I want to big up the young lady Glasgow who answered the phone. Whoever the manager is, the young lady need a raise. I recommend she get a $1,000 raise, please, because I was just testing how customer service skills and stuff like that, and she passed. You understand? Because some of the question I was asking her, you know what I mean, what is the procedure from applying for a license and stuff like that, and she started telling me. But one thing I was shocked. She said, "Well, they're not just gonna give anybody license." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "What is that?" She said, "Well, you have to be vetted." I laughed like at this. I said, "Vetted?" I said, "Well, what is that?" Okay. So, well, you know what I mean, the government gets whatever, we have to be responsible. Okay, fine. Okay, so I said, well, suppose someone let me know, hypothetically, who is a Rasta and they need to get, you know, I mean, license, well, they'll have to go to the Evangelical Association area, but she really know that area part, so she'll have to get some more information on that. And, you know, when it comes to answering certain questions. So we're just touching on knowledge and also how long will these things take? There was no certainty. And if you pay your money, will you be reimbursed if you pull out these fees? Still kind of uncertain with some of the question. But overall, she was willing to keep me on the phone, even though people coming in and out of her office and engage me, and was willing to reach back out to me if it was necessary. But I was just letting her know I was just running a test to see how she would be, because people will be calling that office and really will put in some pressure on her. But she's not the one they might get upset with, but she's one who at the answer, the front end, and will get most of the lash. And but I want to wish her well and stuff like that. You understand? But at being at the authority and the one who's at the front end answering the office, the phone line and showing the information. So I want to say kudos to her, and I hope she get an increase. And she, but I think they made the right choice by selecting her to be at the. I'm telling you, yeah. So I was just playing devil's advocate, so to let you know, I was just testing her and stuff like that. And she said, "How did I do?" I said, "Man, you did well, man. You passed the test, car. You know, I was just, I'm just being easy, you know, being a little tougher, and you're just being like, cause many gonna come real aggressive with the attitude before to dial the number. So I must give kudos to her. But so yes, on some of the fees I want to go over is like also if you want to go a quarter 11,000 square feet, well, give and take a quarter acre. For local, that will be $1,000. But if you're a foreigner, $30,000 for the 11,000 square feet. If you want to go up to a half acre, for local is $1,500, and for a foreigner is $40,000, and up to 3/4 acre local $2,000, and for the foreigner $60,000, and over up an acre up to 2 acres, it will be $3,000 for local and $60,000 for the foreigner. But up to an acre, up to 5 acres, is $5,000 for the local and $170,000 for the foreigner. But if you want to go over 5 acres, so yes, if you want to go take 6 acres of weed, you can cost you $200,000. And instead, if you know you're a foreigner, you can cost you $4,200,000. All right, these are just licensing fees, eh? All right, so right now, so when you don't go all these herb where you choose to grow, whether it's a quarter acre or not, and you want to get into extraction of oils and stuff like that, agro processing. Well, yes, and your application fee is just a little $4,000, eh? And Cindy, as the foreigner, your application fee gonna be $8,000. And yes, and once you approve, because you're gonna be vetted, if you approve and I decide to approve you, I don't know who gonna be approved. Your license gonna cost you $100,000, eh? And me $100,000, and Cindy, you're gonna cost $200,000, just for if you want to go into manufacturing, agro processing. And if you want to open up a cafe or a little smoke shop or whatever you want to call it, whatever, your application fee again in a Yason. So if you say $4,000 for your Yason, and for Cindy $8,000 again as a foreigner, and Yason, you to have that cafe, it's gonna cost you $10,000. And Cindy, as a foreigner,
How much?
we're just charge you $10,000 for the cafe. So yeah. So it's $14,000 overall for the application, and for the business license is $14,000 total. And Cindy, for the cafe license is $225,000. All right. So the cafe don't establish, the herb don't grow, but you have to move the herb to the cafe now. So you get the herb there. Well, our next license again in your son. All right. So as a local now, your fees are for the application again $1,500.
The transportation.
And for the transport license, $25,000 for your son. And Cindy, as the foreigner, $3,000 for the application fee. And for your transport license, $50,000. But your son, but me go tomatoes and me cut banana, I mean, I have no all these license, me just cut and move when me want, show me car, show me and chuck higher chuck to have me melon. So what the difference be? Me not understand all these things, yeah?
Well, this plant is this is a highly regulated plant in a highly regulated industry. And so
When me
these
there in New York,
requirements
the man them by the train station outside they sell weed like a tomatoes. Just the man they sell tomato and orange on the street. I saw weed they sell and the shops them just the way across the other street. And nobody get harassed by nothing. Nobody. Live. Man, 20 man they sell they by East Street, so everybody just sell a hub normal. They must sell CDs and sell apples normal. Police man there's normal. So how they so that you want emulate and do these things. But yes, you have all this craziness. So how what children are passing on the street too? How come you not affect the children don't see the weed? People are smoking. See, something is wrong. We are just being controlled. Cause these rules that we are go through here, now go through in the outside world. So somebody fool somebody somehow. So cause as I tell the young lady, as we keep speaking about, this medical all plants are medicinal. The banana them may grow a medicinal banana. The watermelon are medicinal banana. The sugar apple and the guava, the same medicinal sugar apple. And so me don't know who come up with this wise terminology because them use it. We're gonna listen to them with the nonsense. I don't state it early up, and don't let them know. If you know use herb and understand herb, I hear nothing from you, These are just the reality. Cause you want to be the biggest advocate for herb, but yet you don't understand nothing about the plant the Father create. But yet you fight the herb because of control mechanism. If you're gonna educate, you educate right, Because the most dangerous drug there with Federation is alcohol, brethren. Alcohol. If you do food nutrition, the first thing I tell you about alcohol, it gives you short-term
But
memory.
you can't
You
mess with them
understand?
man choice drug. You can't mess with them man choice drug, Banky.
Me
That's
not do
the
that. I
choice drug.
understand that.
Alcohol is the choice drug.
But I'm
So
just saying.
you're saying that there's nothing in place for that, but they would not put anything in place for that, and that's part of the problem to Banky, because when I
Yes.
asked, I remember I asked a
And
question
then I still
to
ain't
the
touch. I
chair.
still ain't touch the pharmaceutical because the Advil and the ibuprofen, they're highly addictive because they'll tell them take one of these as a buffer for the rest of your life to prevent stroke. So you're taking an aspirin every day for the rest of your life that your doctors them telling you. Just that they tell you to spray the plant just as a preventative, prevent pests, just in case you're taking an aspirin or you're taking a pressure tablet every day, just in case as a buffer. Instead, you switch up your way of eating and exercising all these things that to change how your body function towards a lot of stuff that is causing these illnesses. Your doctors are putting you on medication for the rest of your life. You see what I mean? And we trust these things. So we're really in a bad place when it comes to our
Well,
society.
that is one of the major issues on this topic, Banky. There are a lot of things that we could discuss and keep. I guess we could go hours on this topic.
Yes.
But the reality is the government, even though when CARICOM came around, CARICOM would have had a 4-year research on cannabis within the region. And after their 4-year research, CARICOM came to the conclusion that cannabis should be treated the same way as you treat alcohol and tobacco. That was the recommendations from CARICOM to the heads of government. One of the problems we have in the region is CARICOM don't have any teeth, because even though we have these heads of government meeting, when they go to these heads of government meeting, even though CARICOM make recommendations or suggestions, it is left up to the individual leaders of the territories to implement if and when they so desire. And that is why even with the issue of cannabis, it took so long. Even some countries haven't even done anything yet in regards to that. So that is a whole issue in itself. And so, there's still a lot of things for us to, peruse when it comes to that, because even most people still just limit the debate and the discussion to smoking, and the issues surrounding smoking. Anyway, we are we are already out of time, but the last topic that I
Yes.
really wanted to just brief us on is what is happening with Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, and the fact that right now, tomorrow, 30th, and tomorrow there's a call for Africans around the world. It doesn't matter if you're in Africa or wherever you are in the diaspora. to, activate a march in solidarity towards, Abraham Traore, because seemingly there is that push and people are afraid that he would be another Gaddafi, in the sense that they would seek to take him out. There have been a number of threats on his life and so on. And in our region, I would have heard one comment from the political sphere in relation to Abraham Traore, and the argument was presented that, well, his government is not a democratic government. It is a government that was as a result of a coup. And so many of us in these parts, especially the leadership, would not necessarily come out in solidarity, even though they may want to defend some of the things that he's doing. Because we, from this perspective, look at what he's doing, especially in relation to Africa, and how he's really seeking to empower his people to revive his economy and make, as Trump is doing for America, he's doing for Burkina Faso, making Burkina Faso great again and making Africa great again on a whole. So based on what he's doing, he's getting the support of the people. However, I think it's a Nevis. I think I see Kalonji putting out something and asking people to come out to. So where do we stand, in this regards? And will we also be taking the side of our leadership that says, okay, we ain't supporting Abraham Traore because his government is by a coup and we're dealing with democracy? Where do we stand on something like that? And Cindy, will you be a part of the solidarity tomorrow? Banky, will you be, representing tomorrow to stand in solidarity with Traore? I mean,
me as in solidarity, spiritually, and telepathically, that's how man flex, what I'm saying? Man understand how to move energy and frequency. So man has more than one place at the same time. So we expect these things to happen, and we expect once you stand up, you will get fight and pushbacks. And our leaders is serving at higher power, so they can't come out and say these things because they don't want the same thing will happen there. They don't want the old military little army base here to overthrow them because they're wasting time and fill up on them. That we don't want. Because the same thing, if you're not doing it, supposedly the people don't want you out. The more you out, they don't want that. They're going to say, oh, they're not democracy. If the people more you or the people want the democracy be, what it be? And the people make the choice, so the people make the choice. They don't have to wait. They just want to go. Just go. And set the thing in order. Because they boil down to one thing in the virgin. Do what is right, And the man doing what is right. So what the man doing wrong? What he doing wrong? The people don't want him to go.
But you see, Banky,
you see what I mean?
Here's where we are still. Here's where we are still. An issue like this, and this is why I guess this is called Topics. An issue like this is not even up for discussion in our local. We hear Kalonji, and you may have some Afro-conscious people who might be, speaking and thinking along that line. But where is that support and that solidarity from, as you say, leadership? As you said, they're going to say
the general public is talking about it on all the radio shows. They're talking about it, but the people who you have leading, even them in the preachers, they are not speaking about it. So when you see people, doing good is not right. This is the thing I keep speaking about, In the eyes of the leaders, them doing good is not right because it make them look better. You see? That's how he do. He making it look bad. It show that you so that day. So help your people. You don't have to pay for no house. You don't have to pay for no water. You understand? If you have them locked up in a jail, they have plant their food and then they get the tourists instead of have. You understand? Make them be useful within the society. They don't want that. You see? It's all I can. It's all I can. Take the rocket science. Yes, you never hear this for the last 5 years. I don't realize this from since me in a primary school. That's why I end up in an environment, because you see the environment I grew up in amongst my uncles and my mom and they explain, you see how they operate, they work for themselves. You don't think you have nothing. Education is key. What is education is learning how to fish, learning if you want to be a doctor. All those are education. And it's how you apply these things to help others too. Not to suppress the poor, and what our people are doing is suppress our own people. Our biggest problem is our own kind, We are no longer under a system. Yes, the system, even though the system is a colonial system, but who man the system? No, we? So if we want to change the system, we don't change it. We don't change laws. You tell about you not change a common constitution and feel proud about it. When they have 300 years of politicians and liars on the island, if all of them schooling together
Well,
over 2 years of
well,
schooling, you get it. So who fool who?
if I could do these things, if I could do these things, and still eventually have my people rally out and still support me in full numbers and then come out and vote for me, well, why not continue to do it? That's the argument that's presented now. Why the argument is why fix the battle if the battle ain't broken?
That's fine, but I know the universe always change things. So me no matter how them feel in them head and what they think how wise them be, things don't stay so forever, virgin. There comes a time and I know that. And they know that too. Cause they're in control of nothing, even though they think that they're in control of a thing. Time changes, that is of the essence. And I know that. You see? Cindy?
Wow, it's kind of complicated. I read about him, and I like the things that he are doing for his country. He would have reduced government ministers' salary by I think 30 or 50% or 30%, and increase the civil servant salary by 50%. He's building roads, he's building an airport, he's doing schools, so he's doing a lot of wonderful things for his country. He's getting, well, some of the influences that he think would have affected his people, he's also getting rid of that. So but
Yes.
I agree that persons might look at the way that he got in at the government, ministers, leaders, and say that is not the way, so we cannot support him. Because as Banky would have said, you support that, and then it happens to you as well, where a military might decide and fed up of you, so I'm just going to take you out in that light manner. So it's a ticklish, it's a complicated situation. I see both sides. I see both sides. I see the good, and I also see why people might become uncomfortable in supporting him, even though he might have been standing for what is good and for what is right. But I guess they're looking at the method, the way he went about doing it, which they may not support. So that might be some of the consequences in him doing it that day. But all in all, I think he's doing good for the country. And that's my take on
All
it.
right, all right. I think we would have gone through a
Yes.
number of topics this evening. Um, we have exhausted over 2 hours in a very quick time, as simple as it is. Um, I want to say I want to apologize to some of the comments that we didn't get to. Um, I saw a number of comments, and we would have had seemingly one or two new followers. I want to say good evening, Icon Fire. You were and we have Ankem Co. These are some of the people on the YouTube channel. I'm hoping that you guys would share the platform, share the show, subscribe, like it, share it, and be sure to tune in next week, Tuesday, for another edition of the Topics on Real Entertainment Network. And on Friday, we will be back with another edition of Everything Agriculture here on the Real Entertainment Network platform. So I want to say thank you, Cindy. I want to say thank you, Banky, for being our additional host, and really for providing a very informative, engaging discussion this evening on a number of topics. And we look forward to another engaging discussion next week. To all of the folks who followed us, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch TV, we do really and truly appreciate your time. Without you, the show is almost nothing. We would be just here talking to ourselves. The caller, want to thank you as well too. And we look forward to having more callers, and feel free to engage with us when we bring these topics to the table. Let us know what your thoughts are. Even after the show, you can, if you're listening, at a later time, you're free to add your comments and we would, seek to respond as well. So enough love, people. Until Friday, see you, and next week Tuesday, see you for another edition of
And
Topics.
just remind them to use the YouTube link as much as possible and share the YouTube link, your son.
Yes, definitely. We want to encourage you to utilize the YouTube. So if you're not on the YouTube platform, go and look for Real Entertainment Network on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, because what is happening is, in more recent times, Facebook is taking down a lot of the videos after 30 days. But if you really want to have the video or see the video, and you can go back to it whenever you want to, YouTube would be the space. So we would definitely be looking to have you populate in the YouTube space. Banky, reach out to Ira and let him know that we ready to.
He ready. Yeah, don't tell him play the music. So he'll play it now. He did right there.
I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Got up in the morning, took a shot, it's the rock. And girl, you left my stomach in a knot. Took my lighter and you burned the bridge. Thought you was a writer. No, you're just an idol. You got me feeling like Big Sean in this 5, 4, 3, 2. I deserve a minute. Wait a minute. Gotta get up and over. Regain my composure. No longer my lover. Finally finished and you did it. Girl, you really showed me. Think with your heart, don't think with your body. Clever. Sorry not sorry, sorry not. Justin Timberlake, write me a river. Lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else choose it was dead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. You tried to convince me it was all in my head, and I felt like it's not you, it's me instead. Hey, I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna lead a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a. Lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I